of it all. You have this entitled white woman, Becky-ish, Karen-ish behavior where she's literally talking to guys. She's literally talking to men who played in the NBA and telling them what it's like to play in the NBA. I think that's why it's hilarious. It's the most comical shit I've ever seen. And this is the white man bolstered her up above these black men on this ESPN plantation, and they gotta go and submit to her, and it's not fair. It's wrong. So I think, long story short, I would say that with Malika, I understood. I didn't understand at first, but I saw where some of the players literally won't even answer her questions. She asked a question, and the guy that plays for the Bucks, and with Giannis, I can't say his last name; it's too long. But you know what I'm talking about. Giannis she asked that question, and it wasn't a bad question. Giannis just got up and walked out of the room. And I don't blame him. What do you think? Go ahead, Jeff, please.
No, it was funny, and so now when you put everything into context, like you said, stuff like that is popping up that most people just wouldn't have thought about. I mean, it was something that happened 3 years ago, or it was another clip that I remember watching this episode live when Richard Jefferson, who played 15 years in the NBA, Matt Barnes, who played another 15, 17 years in the NBA, and Kendrick Perkins, who played another dozen or so years in the NBA, they were talking about a play, and they were saying, oh, this dude, when he did this play, it was dirty. And she was like, now, you guys don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't dirty. He's like, we know, we got to combine, 40 years of NBA experience or 35 years.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Richard Jefferson's like, I broke my hand on the dunk one time. And he's like, did you ever break your hand trying to dunk on somebody?
It's funny because he actually asked me, said, how old were you guys when y'all first dunked? And they were all like 12, 13 or whatever. He said, yeah, I was 13. And so I know, and so basically he was saying, since 13 years old, I know when I go in the air and somebody attacks me a certain kind of way, they're maybe not trying to hurt me, but they're trying to do some kind of damage. And they know if they do X play, then it's going to cause a certain amount of hurt and damage. And so, but she was trying to kind of buck up to them. It's like, no. Sit this one out, sweetie. I'm not trying to degrade you as a woman or anything, but you have to the basketball.
And let me jump in and say this too, man. They have the right to do that. They have the right to say, look, you need to sit this one out. You're not qualified for this conversation. And it's not sexist at all. It's not sexist at all. Let me tell you why it's not sexist. Because there are times when my wife is talking to another woman about something that only women understand. If my wife is sitting there talking about the pain of childbirth, I'm not going to be like, well, no, having a baby don't hurt. All you got to do is spread your legs and just shit it out real quick. You just push it. Come on, you a punk. Right? No, I would look stupid doing that. Those are conversations where I need to shut up and learn and listen. And the problem with a lot of the feminists, many of them are white, the Karen Becky energy, is that they think they know everything about everything. They feel like they have a right to lead any conversation, to control any situation, to invoke their energy and their little narrative into whatever they want, and it's just wrong. It's disrespectful as hell. So I'm gonna tell you, I think the guys at ESPN, if any of them are watching, y'all need to just go revolt. Y'all need to go and just say, look, we don't have no problem with you. We think you'll be great for this role in about 15 or 20 years, but we're gonna go find another sister that's truly qualified, that has respect for black men that can have this job. I really don't like the idea that this person is even in the position she's in with the energy that she's had. And you could tell, and here's the other part too. I want you to talk about this. Tell me about this. So some people have even wondered if that white guy that she's taking pictures with is her boyfriend that she was dating that actually works at ESPN. And if that was the case, that would be interesting because for two reasons. One, it's interesting politically because you got this biracial woman who's dating a white man telling black men what to do. I'd be curious to know what her relationship was like with her father, because if you look at Jemele Hill, and Jamel's not as bad as her, but if you look at Jemele Hill's relationship with her father, it's very, very bad. A lot of women who have bad relationships with their black father have a big issue with black men. Give me a yes in the chat if you've ever seen this played out in real life. I'm just telling you the truth. They need to go see a therapist. Some of them don't, and then they just end up beating up on men for the rest of their life. But then the second reason that's interesting is if she was sleeping with this guy at any point or dating him or whatever, well, it sounds like she's doing the same thing Ime Udoka's doing. Maybe the difference is that maybe she reported it to HR, right? Last time I checked, people that have affairs, they don't report that to HR, right? But maybe she reported it to HR, but it sounds like it could be the same thing. Is that right? Or what do you think?
Yeah, so and like you said, especially if it's all consensual. That's the thing. The big word that keeps coming out in the email, if we're just talking about email thing, it's consensual, meaning he didn't force anything. Now, if he did, say that and just fire the man. But the simple fact that you didn't fire him lets me know, kind of gives me some insight that it wasn't some form of harassment, that he didn't force anything, that everything was consensual. And so in Malika's case, her relationship, just like Ime, is consensual. The only difference is she's a reporter. Ime's an NBA coach. She doesn't have a fiance, and Ime did, and his fiance happened to be super famous and need along. Like, there's some factors there. But the biggest thing is, like you said, you can't just, I don't know. It's interesting because, like you said, Malika's biggest fan base wasn't black women. It was black men. And so, like, think about it. Who consumes more NBA basketball than the players who are actually playing and the black men who are watching? That the reason why Malika is in the position that she is in, and she is as popular as she is because of black men. It ain't because of white men or white women. It's because of black men and women, but specifically that demographic, and that is why she's trending, because her biggest fan base or her biggest base has now turned on her, and now they're looking at her like, hold on, have we been supporting Uncle Ruckus this whole time? Like, hold on. Damn, like, Malika, was you know what I'm saying, was you a wolf in sheep's clothing? Like, you kind of coming off with that energy that's like, hold on, my God, like, what's going on?
Well, let me say this, man. I will just say in general, white feminism has rarely been in favor of the black man, unless the black man completely and totally submits to whatever ideology white women are behind. And that's the problem, is that because there are legitimate problems in our society, there are legitimate cases where men treat women poorly. There are legitimate cases of things like sexual assault and harassment. What happens is that it's the good guys that get beat up. The good guys are the ones who are like, okay, I don't want to upset you. I don't want to be a sexist. I don't want to be a jerk. And so I'll be nice, but then sometimes they'll come in with this crazy energy, and it becomes like almost impossible to deal with. I'll give you an example. There was a lady that I had on my podcast 10 years ago who was a really strong feminist. She was a black woman, but she related heavily to white women and what this white feminism thing. And she came in kind of feeling like the black man was the enemy, and that she always had to be on guard, ready to fight, ready to shut down any hint of sexism in the room. So let me tell you what happened in the interview. So I was interviewing her and a bunch of women. There was about 3 women in the room, a total of 4, her and 3 other women. So I said, okay, all right, you guys. So here's how we can do the show. And she interrupts me and she goes, "We're not guys, we're women." And I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. You know what? I'm so sorry. I just say guys in a non-gender specific sort of way. I say it to my girls, you know, like I didn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, I'm doing that whole routine, right?" And then during the interview, I slipped up again. And I said, "Okay, all right, guys, let's change the subject, right?" And then she interrupts in the middle of the interview and says, "I told you we're not guys." And I was like, damn, like really? Like, you really interpret my slip of the tongue to be somehow like an insult to your feminist sensibilities. I'm not getting away. I don't have any issue with you, but now I do. Now I'm offended. Now you up here on my show, up here trying to just attack me for something that's silly. Maybe you take me to the side and you explain it. Maybe you and I have a talk about it later, but don't be up in here trying to bogart, putting your balls on the table, like somehow you about to run this piece up in there. So that's why I will admit I enjoyed the fact that Stephen A. Smith, when he brought Malika Andrews onto his show, and she came in with that whole Stephen A. stop, that whole white woman entitlement, Stephen A. shut it down quickly. He said, "You're not going to do that on my show." I'm very glad he did that.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I seen one of the comments that was like, yo, is there any way to change? It's hard to change. That's the thing. When black folks, we get, you know what I'm saying, you show us a little inkling of who you are, we take you for that. We don't go through we ain't gonna try it. Nah, you got it's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. It's like, the damage is done. Because not only did you do it in the one instance, you did it multiple times in the same day. And so now that causes, because the internet never forgets, it causes them to bring up other clips, like the dunking thing, like the Giannis walking out thing. Now you're wondering, like, why did Giannis walk out on her? Or, well, dang, she did kind of act a little snooty on that. And now, anytime that she does it moving forward, the internet will continue to trend. Because now the folks are hip to it. You know, you showed your hand. You might have been hiding it for a long time. You know what I'm saying? But now that you showed your hand, we're going to always see it. We're going to always continue to criticize and critique it. And like I said, your biggest demographic is now turned on. Your biggest demographic, your biggest supporters, they don't want to hear from you no more. Because at the end of the day, people try to make it, oh, black men hate black women. That's not true. No. That's not true. Or black women hate black men. That's not true.
Right.
But there are, this hand select ones that do. And that's the thing. Us as a community, that's why what strength is always in numbers. Us as a community, no, we rise up and we stick together in the grand scheme of things. We stick together. And that's why Malika is trending and everybody's on the same side of the ball. Like, yo, we're all saying, like, yo, G, she ain't, she's a little funny. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And now she's starting to reveal her hand. And can you flip it back? It's kind of hard to flip it back. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I haven't seen it happen. I'm just saying.
Well, let me tell everybody, Jeff is joining Johnny Ortiz and some others to actually talk about sports and issues like this at the All Black National Convention. And if you'd like to join us at the convention, we're going to meet in Charlotte, North Carolina, October 28th through the 30th. So if you are pro-black, if you are pro-black love, pro-black family, pro-black wealth, pro-black power, then it's the place for you. Take a visit to allblacknationalconvention.com. You can get your passes. You can become a vendor, market your business, all that stuff there. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. So, Jeff, before I head out, because I got to run, I actually have to run to a meeting, man, but this is a fun conversation. How do you think this is going to look going forward? I cannot imagine her, ESPN putting her on the air on a regular basis in front of a bunch of brothers like us and expecting us to just give her any credibility. And I'm not saying that she's not good at what she does. She doesn't know her stuff. I think she does. But what I also see is undiagnosed, untreated trauma that she's airing out in public, and it's making her look kind of ridiculous. It's killing her ability to remain professional, right, in the setting. There's something that happened in her life, maybe something that happened to her, and I hope it wasn't terrible, or something that happened with her black father that she's playing out on air. I think that when her reactions to all those men shutting them down and all that, I wonder how her white mother talked about her black father growing up. I'd be stunned if her black father raised her. I'd be absolutely stunned. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I'd be stunned, and I'd be curious to know what that relationship was like, because there's something there emotionally. I don't know. Do you see something? I see something emotional that's making her kind of get out of pocket a little bit. What do you think?
And possibly, I think that her black father was a part of her life. I'm like pretty certain because her sister now works at ESPN, so they did like a little short thing about their family and both of them being into sports, and I think they're from the Bay Area. Ironically, I think they're from like the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland type area, and so I think he actually is now. Okay. What the dynamic is, I don't know. But no, ESPN's gonna keep trucking along, because you know why, right? It's because Malika's bucking up to black folks. She's bucking up to Matt Barnes and Kendrick and Stephen A. She ain't bucking up to like when Jamel got out of pocket with like Donald Trump or some, you know what I'm saying? Or when Rachel, who was white, talked about the black people during the height of George Floyd. That's how they got the can. But Malika talking about Stephen A. and she's bucking up to black men. They're not gonna punish that. Like, if she was bucking up to, I don't know, Scott Van Pelt or somebody, you might get some form of punishment. But she bucking up to Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins, it's going to be all systems go. Now, if anything happens to where an NBA player doesn't want to sit down with her, which I don't think it'll get to that extent. I think it's just more so the internet, right? But if an NBA player start to decide that, like, hey, I ain't sitting down with Malika, or hey, I'm good on that, then you might see a change. But as long as she's attacking black men, that's gonna get on TV. Attacking black men on TV, you don't get punished for attacking black men on television. I mean, that's just the truth.
Well, let me tell everybody something that an ESPN analyst told me in private. He said that that ESPN, one thing that he believes happened, and this is a prominent guy. This is a guy who's very big on the network. If I said his name, you know exactly what I was talking about. He said that ESPN noticed that the unemployment rate for black men was very high. And they figured out that a lot of black men are sitting at home watching sports all day. And he said when they realized that, okay, we've got a great in-house demographic that we can really build our network off of. And he said that's when you really started seeing a lot of black men on ESPN. And because if you go back and look at ESPN 15, 20 years ago, it was a very different looking network. They'd have some brothers in there like Stuart Scott and whatever. Rest in peace to Stuart. But but now you notice the tone has changed and it's become kind of a black men's network. So I'd be really curious to see how this plays out. I think that this is I think it's kind of sad, and I really am glad that these guys are standing up to this lady because her behavior. It's just kind of ridiculous, man. I think brothers, this is to all the good men out here, all the men that don't want to harass nobody, that ain't trying to get out here and hurt nobody, who are just trying to be good people, raise your kids, and be solid citizens. Understand that some of these movements, they label you in an unfair way, and you have a right to stand up against that. I don't care what when I speak on certain things. Sometimes I'll get people throwing name in. Oh, you're a sexist. You this. No, I'm a human being. And I have rights, and I'm going to share my perspectives just like you have the right to share yours, and stop using your white privilege to somehow think that I don't have a right to have a voice. So I hope these brothers keep using their voice. I'm really proud that they're standing up because Ime Udoka may have done the wrong thing, but if you ain't going to be dragging a white woman's name out there, then don't be dragging his. That's it, period. So thank you, Jeff. It was great to see you, man.
Appreciate you too, Doc. Always great.
Yeah. Let me give Jeff's social media. Everybody should follow Jeff Lightsey Jr. He is great on everything related to sports. And it looks like my video went away, so it's actually probably the perfect time for me to bounce out. But there's his Instagram tag and his Twitter tag. Everybody should follow him at jlightsey7. And don't forget the All Black National Convention is coming up. So if you'd like to join us in October, please visit allblacknationalconvention.com. So take care, everybody. And sorry that my video disappeared. I don't know what the heck happened. But y'all have a great day. Love you. I'll see you soon. Peace. Oh, there I am. I'm back. All right, man. Well.